all of you have been around long enough, you've had problems. If you live long enough, you've got problems with kids, you've got problems with spouses, you've got self-problems. You know. What's been helpful to you when you've gone through some trauma? What's been the most helpful thing? Has it been somebody giving you lots of direction and data, or is it someone that's been empathetic? Well, it's always empathetic. And so how can you translate that into helping your organization? Because the bottom line is productivity. You know, here's kind of the bottom line. How do you do that? How do you get people to empty their gunny sack? What is it you do as a leader, as an HR person, as an OD person to do that? There's a handout. I'm not going to have you go through it, but I came up with this term, organizational codependence. Those of you that studied codependency came out early out in Minneapolis, actually. It was the Hazelton Institute on alcoholism. If your significant other is an alcoholic and you feel really good when they're dry, you feel really bad when they go off the wagon, if your self-esteem is hooked to their addiction, you're codependent. And organizational codependence is basically that to the extent you index your self-esteem, your sense of purpose, your sense of relevance, your sense of identity to one organization, you're kind of set up for organizational codependence. If you look at the questionnaire, I'm not going to go through it now, but you can kind of look at yourself, and again, you can use this in groups in terms of how much of your self-esteem is indexed to your organization as opposed to your work. You can be the best OD person, the best HR person. You don't have to be that for one organization. It's called organizational codependency. That also creates a lot of discussion. Who you are should not be where you work. That's kind of my manifestos. You can debate them, but I think who you are should be what you do, and not where you do it. What you do should be a manifestation of who your unique gifts. The best employees I know are there because what they do is a manifestation of their human spirit, to get OD-ish about it. That their work is really what they're called to be. And if you're working in congruence with your human spirit, man, that's great. But if you're working in an area that you're not, what you're doing is not who you are, there's a price to be paid after a while. Because none of us are getting any younger. That's kind of one of the reasons I leave organizations every 6 or 7 years. I think my sense of who I am changes. But I've talked, and you all know them, there's people in your organizations that if you really talk to them authentically, hate their job. You don't like what they're doing. They're trapped by money, status, power. There's people in your organizations that love their job. Why? Because they, that's what I call good work. Good work is, a guy named Dick Leiter came up with that term. Anybody knows Dick? You know Dick? Dick's another Minnesotan. I come from Minnesota originally. He came up, I think he wrote a book called Good Work, which is really about finding work that's a manifestation of who you are. If you work in the field that we are in, OD, leadership development, you better love that. If not, you're a fraud. And if you do good work, it increases productivity and satisfaction. I'm going to talk about commandments quickly. I'm not going to go through this. If I were working in a group, I'll ask the group a little bit about what were their early commandments about motivation, loyalty, and commitment. What were you told? What are your values about what's loyalty? Is it loyal if you're working for an organization downsizing to run your resume off in the company copy machine? Or can you get fired for that, as some people still do? What about commitment? Can you be committed to your job, but not necessarily to your company? What about networking outside? It's really good when you do this with line managers because it smokes out a lot of issues. And again, what's the purpose of a lot of this is to create a dialogue to reinforce or question values in a way that's safe.